been a bit of a resurgence of FredBears Family Dino talk since Secret of the Mimic came out, as within the secret area of the game is a prototype layout of the FNAF 1 location, and within that is 2 FredBear animatronics. But I do believe those are prototype 2nd gen springlock suits made by Murray that they were talking about throughout the game that are meant to be safer than the 1st gen springlock suits originally made by FredBear Entertainment in-house. I have also seen people questioning why there's so many different designs for FredBear and Spring Bonnie. In this video, I'm going to put my 2 cents in this topic and suggest that FredBears actually had 4 animatronics this whole time. Now, unlike most locations like the Pizzaplex, where the 4 animatronics are 4 different characters, in FredBears, the 4 animatronics are 2 sets of animatronics of the 2 same characters, FredBear and Bonnie, as in 2 normal stage animatronics and 2 springlock walkabout animatronics. FNAF 4 gives us the most in-depth look at FredBears Family Dino, or at least what I presume to be the main FredBears location. And we clearly see 4 animatronics, 2 on stage and 2 off it. Plus, when we get a glimpse of the backstage parcel service room, there's a Bonnie head that looks nothing like Springtrap's head, and it makes me think that it belongs to the stage Bonnie we see later on, as both have the same pair of yellow eyes. Personally, FredBears having both sets of animatronics makes sense to me, as when FredBears started out, it just had FredBear, and later on, as it grew in popularity, they added Bonnie and walk-around costumes for birthday parties. Then when springlocks were invented, they quickly swapped out the old costumes for the brand new springlock suits that double as both wearable costume and animatronic by simply using the hand crank to set it to either or. As for designs, naturally I think Orbit Cosmic FredBear is the normal stage animatronic version of the character, as he is a modified version of classic Golden Freddy, who is a normal animatronic. We don't know what Spring FredBear looks like, other than the previously mentioned prototype from Secret of the Mimic, and Nightmare FredBear possibly being a modified Spring FredBear to look like a living nightmare. While most fan works of Spring FredBear do just make a one-to-one on Nightmare FredBear for the Springlock suit, but in the making of Nightmare FredBear, before the head is given the exaggerated teeth, the head does resemble Ribbon Freddy's head, and the head of the 8-bit FredBear we see in FNAF 4 also kind of resembles Ribbon Freddy, and in turn, the prototype we see in Secret of the Mimic also resembles the 8-bit FredBear. I did say FredBear had a lot of designs, right? But I do think that the Spring FredBear could either look like a modified version of On Ribbon Freddy, or simply being an On Nightmare FredBear. The former having a better evidence, as I previously stated, with the latter happening simply because it's a popular fan consensus, and that is more often than not enough for something to be adopted into FNAF canon. Plus, if On Nightmare FredBear does become the canon design for Spring FredBear, as it does make sense from a design point of view, as the walk-around version of the character should at least try to resemble the stage version of the character, just so kids don't immediately catch on that this is a completely different costume to what's on stage. Though granted, the bodies do throw a wrench into that idea, since FredBear's body has the most wild inconsistencies in terms of design. As despite Spring Bonnie being the most high-profile FredBear character, there's still a lot of mystery and inconsistency with their design before becoming Springtrap, like do they have a bow tie or not? As in FNAF 3 and 4, both sprites of Spring Bonnie don't have a bow tie, and in FNAF 3's case, just a button. And personally, I do think that was the original Spring Bonnie design, just having the button, since both of the built from the ground up sprites don't have a bow tie. In FNAF 4, there was no details on the chest at all. Then, and FNAF 3's Stage 01 minigame clearly just shows Spring Bonnie having a button. It was the fans that introduced a bow tie to the character design, despite FNAF 3 clearly showing the opposite. Now, FNAF 4 does have Spring Bonnie with a bow tie into buttons, but this version of the character is literally just a recolor of Bonnie. Well, about that, when I was getting all my ducks in a row for this video, I realized that no, Spring Bonnie doesn't share the same model as Bonnie, or Springtrap for that matter. It's a completely unique model. Granted, maybe they share the same base body with Bonnie, but the head, that's completely unique, and they don't share with that with any of the main 3 Bonnies. So this is a completely unique model to nobody. So can this be even considered the Springlock suit? Personally, I've always thought this design more being of the stage animatronic, but now since it matters nobody, I'm even more convinced that this is the stage animatronic. They're just giving the Springlock name for some reason. As in a bit of a similar vein, whenever the topic of does Fred and Freddy have legs comes up, whenever someone points to Avenger Fred and Freddy for having both legs, people often dismiss it as, well, it's from FNAF Road, so he doesn't count. But in that same logic and argument, then Avenger Spring Bonnie doesn't count, since he's from FNAF Road too, right? Especially since, again, Springtrap and Spring Bonnie don't even share the same model in this game. So should we even take a Spring Bonnie as an accurate depiction of Spring Bonnie? Granted, I say all this knowing that both the Internet Spring Bonnie takes heavy inspiration from the FNAF design, and FNAF 6 gave the Springtrap Spring Bonnie look, the bow tie and two buttons. Although I would say those designs came after Scott began expanding people talking about FNAF to be more than just him. And also makes me ask the question, does Scott even have official designs for the FredBear characters, and how many animatronics FredBears even held? This makes it like me grasping at straws because my first depiction of Spring Bonnie has been replaced by a more common fan one. No, I mean it's not because I don't think Scott has put as much thought into FredBears as we the fans have. Especially since around the Help Wanted era of FNAF, the people making Help Wanted basically use a fan model of Spring Bonnie as a basis for their Springtrap Spring Bonnie model instead of using Scott's Springtrap model for the basis. Now, on one hand, that just shows how good some fan models are, but on the other, to me, that shows that at least around that time, Scott didn't have any official designs for Spring Bonnie to show anyone, leading to dev teams and artists to look online and mistake or take inspiration from fan works to make FredBears Family Diner Spring Bonnie. Sticking to mistaken stuff in FredBears, I feel like Spring Bonnie gets often lumped together with the Bonnie we see on stage in FNAF 4. I know that this isn't Spring Bonnie, as FNAF 4 Springtrap Easter egg is on the other side of the room of where this Bonnie is located. Remember that head in the back room that looked like nothing like Springtrap's own? Well, I think that head belongs to this stage Bonnie, as both share the same eye color. So what could this stage Bonnie look like? Personally, I think there's two sort of possibilities. One being in the same vein that Old Costed FredBear is just a modified classic Golden Freddy, that Stage Bonnie could be a modified classic Bonnie, but just painted in gold, given the permanent eye color and a purple bow tie with two buttons. Or maybe an unlimited style body, but with a classic style head to match FredBear, being a classic animatronic. But only time will tell if all this speculation is bang on target or not, as FNAF does seem to be gearing up for something directly related to FredBear's Family Diner in the near-ish future for some time now. And with that, we're at the end of this video. What do you think? I know there is one more animatronic I could have went over that was possibly in FredBears, and that is the puppet, as FNAF 6 did show that a version of it did appear in the Give Kick minigame, which is commonly thought of taking place in FredBears. But I surely want to focus on FredBear and Bonnie and their springlock counterparts in this video. Plus, personally, I don't really count the puppet as an animatronic, as it's, well, a puppet. But in any regard, what do you think of this video, about this video? Do you agree with some of my takes of the FredBear characters? Do you think there's more than two animatronics in FredBears? But in any event, thank you for watching.